The Philadelphia 76ers did it again last night, coming from behind after trailing for a majority of the game and defeating the Washington Wizards in overtime. Another thrilling victory for a team that has labeled themselves, or has earned the nickname at least, the Comeback Kids thus far early in the season. 4-0 start for this 76ers team. Some of the most fun, energetic basketball that we've seen of this recent Sixers era, probably within the last decade. This team oozes confidence. This team oozes effort. This team oozes just having fun out on the floor, and they can play too. This is a talented bunch. They're not just scrapping by each and every night. This is a talented team, and when they're fully healthy, when they're fully kind of in shape, rounding into form, it's going to be a very dangerous team in what we know is a wide open Eastern Conference. As we know, the Boston Celtics set to take a step back this year. Indiana Pacers without Halliburton set to take a step back this year. The Sixers are going to be right there, I think, for a majority of the season in the mix with the New York Knicks, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. There could be a few other teams kind of that pop out of nowhere and surprise some people this upcoming season. The Milwaukee Bucks will definitely have a say as long as Giannis is healthy. But this Sixers team is very exciting to start the season, and they're doing it with a slew of guys. The guards in the backcourt have been awesome. Joel Embiid looked really good last night, but as we know, is going to be on a minutes restriction throughout the season. But so far, each and every night, it seems that they've had an unsung hero or a guy step up. VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey have really kind of carried the way offensively this year. Quentin Grimes had a great game the other night. Kelly Oubre has had back-to-back double-doubles, but I want to talk about and give some flowers to the backup center from last night, Adem Bona, the second-year guy out of UCLA. Had some really good flashes during his rookie season, and he played a lot with Joel Embiid obviously being out of the lineup for a majority of the season last year. But one of the main kind of downfalls of the Joel Embiid era with the Philadelphia 76ers is they have never had a consistent big man behind him as a backup. Andre Drummond had a nice cup of coffee. The Sixers eventually traded him out of here back a few years ago, and he was probably the most legitimate backup that Embiid's had. But Adem Bona entering year 2 now, we're starting to see some more and more flashes of his ability. And last night it wasn't on in the box score filling up the scorebook. It was not his 2 points that was a thrilling putback dunk in the overtime period to kind of seal the deal, but it was his defensive effort, his motor, and his hustle out there, along with his rim protection ability, that really stood out for the Philadelphia 76ers in that win. And if Joel Embiid is going to be on this minute restriction, as we know, back-to-back games, he's not going to be able to play in. There's going to be things throughout the season where if Embiid is able to make it through the season playing 45, 50 games, I think that's a win. That's a win in our book. But they need to have solid minutes behind him at the center spot. And Adem Bona came to life last night in the fourth quarter and showed the type of player that he can be when granted, an excess opportunity. And in that come from behind effort, he had 5 blocks in overtime in the fourth quarter alone. So that just goes to show you in those 18 minutes that he played just how dynamic he can be in certain stretches. 5 rebounds, that put-back dunk as well that we touched on. It was just an awesome kind of game down the stretch. And I think that's the story of the Sixers team thus far this season, where it's like, all right, VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, those guys have been lighting it up on the scoreboard. Tyrese Maxey leading the NBA in points per game, another 39 points last night. VJ Edgecombe, 14 points, probably his worst scoring performance thus far in the NBA. But other guys are stepping up and playing their roles, and I think that's the big thing for the 76ers team. Can you be a star in your role? Kelly Oubre last night, another double-double. Doesn't do too much, does what he's asked to do, helps lead the Sixers to a victory. Adem Bona, you don't really hear from him much of the game. Comes in the fourth quarter, overtime, 5 blocks, a key putback dunk, and his energy, his effort, he's all over the floor, his hustle, and you kind of just see the energy oozing out of this team. You see them kind of mocking the Wizards fan in the crowd after the game, the bench. You see how happy and excited Joel is. He looks like he has kind of been bred some new life and some new blood in his veins. He's the most energized and happy I think we've seen him on the basketball court thus far. Justin Edwards is the guy that needs to pick it up. I think he's been disappointed to start the season, but you get Trent Watford into the lineup last night. This is a very deep and dangerous team, and I want to give them bonus flowers just for stepping up when the Sixers need him most. Joel kind of ran out of his minutes, that minutes restriction, and it was time to turn to the backup bigs. Andre Drummond played some pretty solid performance last night, but Adem Bona was the star of the show down the stretch and wasn't scoring the basketball. He was ever protected, those rebounds, that hustle that he displayed. And he's a guy that, to his chagrin, sometimes he might play a little bit out of control, but you got to remember, this is still a young player, only second year in the league. He still has room to grow. He's never going to be a guy, I think, back to the basket doing jump hooks. He's going to be a lob catcher. He's going to be getting put back dunks, offensive rebounds for second chance opportunities, things like that, things of that nature. But that's a very welcome asset behind a guy like Joel Embiid, and to be able to give consistent, 20 to 25 minutes on a given night if your number's called, I think he's showing more and more that he can do that. And some of the maturity, that we kind of lacked in seeing last year as a rookie, as a young player, we're starting to see him kind of grow and develop a little bit more. And to have that big of an impact in that fourth quarter and overtime alone, pretty wild there. He joined some pretty rare company last night for this season. Most blocks by a player in one game this season. Wemby has 9 in one game already. Funny just to see that. 6 in another, and Jaren Jackson Jr., those two, probably your best 2 rim protectors right now in the NBA, was 6. Adem Bona 5, and he recorded all 5 of those in the fourth quarter and overtime last night. So pretty wild statistic there that shows the ability that he has and can show to the organization and the fan base in flashes. This was on Twitter as well. It was an eye-popping statistic that I thought was very interesting. But Adem Bona's down the stretch. Adem Bona's defense, down the stretch of the Sixers' comeback win versus the Wizards was phenomenal. He's been an excellent defender so far. Opponents have finished 7.9% worse when he's the closest defender, 7.3% worse when he's contesting at the rim, and 11.3% worse with him on the floor. So it just goes to show you his defensive ability and just kind of his presence out there. And I think one of the biggest things with Joel Embiid this year, and that we're not going to see, is the elite defensive ability that we've seen before, whether it's just his overall rim protection, chase down blocks, everything in between. I think he's going to be exerting more energy on the offensive end and kind of leave some of that defensive stuff to the, you're not able to, with his knees, with his body condition, to be able to give 100% effort on both sides of the floor each and every play. And that's what you want. That's what you expect out of these professional athletes. But to be realistic, he's going to have to save himself and give himself some stuff in the tank. And to be quite frank, probably more of an important piece on the offensive end, just his overall presence down there and being able to get a bucket when needed. His defensive mobility, I think, has been limited thus far this season. We'll see how that looks as he kind of continues to round into form and get into shape. But with Adem Bona out on the floor and being able to kind of solidify himself potentially as that backup big man for the 76ers, he has that defensive presence that the Sixers might be lacking in the front court right now. Nobody's really scared of Andre Drummond. No one's scared, I think, at this stage of the game of Joel Embiid on the defensive end. When Adem Bona is out there, he's changing some stuff on the defensive end of the floor, and these statistics are showing here with them shooting percentage worse, defending at the rim at an elite level. Everything between Adem Bona has been a very pleasant surprise for the Sixers. And as we talked about, 5 blocks in the fourth quarter overtime, help the Sixers come back from behind and get the win on Tuesday night. What was as impressive as a performance that we've seen from one of these role guys so far for the Sixers this season. As we talked about, VJ and Tyrese, it looks like they're going to be the 2 star-studded offensive players leading the way, but you're going to need a Kelly Oubre to step up. You're going to need an Adem Bona to step up, especially when you need to come from behind on these weeknight games where it was on the second leg of a back-to-back too. You're going to need these kind of unsung heroes each and every night to step up. Can a guy like a Trendon Watford consistently step up? Can a guy like a Justin Edwards kind of get out of this funk that he's in and step up some more? That's going to be one of the telltale signs of how far the Sixers team can go this season. But I'm looking forward to it because each and every night, this is a fun team to watch. The energy, the effort, and Adem Bona, I think, is kind of the poster child for that right now. So love to know what you guys think in the comments below about how fun the Sixers team looks to start. How much do you have faith in Adem Bona? How much do you think you can really rely on him? And is he that solid backup 5-man that the Sixers have been lacking forever? Love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Looking forward to seeing the boys play the rest of the week. But as always, please like, please subscribe, and we will be talking to you next time here on Sixers Digest.